Jana, this is something that was of great concern to Turkish authorities. Certainly the country, as we've been saying, has been on high alert as a result of those suicide blasts that occurred in the south of the country and also in Ankara in the latter part of 2015.
Yes, of course. Today we've reached a new level of violence that was unseen and unprecedented before. For the first time today, it is Istanbul that is hit, that is targeted, and it is more specifically the historic and the touristic center of Istanbul that is targeted in a clear objective to destabilize Turkey and to destabilize the economy of Turkey. Today, obviously, this explosion is linked to a very specific context. First of all, it is linked to the renewal of violence between the PKK and the Turkish state, because the PKK has been benefiting from regional chaos in order to reconduct its historic fight against the Turkish nation state. And on the other hand, this explosion is also linked to Turkey's fight against Daesh, because Turkey has become in latest months much more engaged in its fight against Daesh, whether with the international coalition or also inside Turkey. For example, the Turkish state has been arresting people linked to secret cells of Daesh inside Turkey.
Do you think...
so today, for the first time, we're witnessing...
Do you think, Jana, that we're going to see, if anything, a strengthening of Ankara's commitment in that campaign against the Islamic State group?
That's sure. I think we would witness three things. First of all, an escalation of violence between the Turkish state and the PKK. Second, we would surely witness a more serious engagement of Turkey against Daesh. And in an extremist case, if you want, we might witness the new coming back of the army at the forefront of Turkish political scene.
How is this going to impact on President Erdogan and particularly his AKP party, which, of course, did extremely well in the elections last year on the grounds that they were going to ensure that security was restored to the streets of Istanbul and other Turkish cities?
Well, today Erdogan is in a very hard and tough situation, but I think he would sort of capitalize on this violence we're witnessing today in Turkey to say to the international community and to his own constituency inside Turkey that his country is facing, let's say, a conspiracy. And so he would call his constituency and the Turkish nation to rally around the flag, and so to rally around him in order to give him the strength to guarantee, again, the return to security and stability inside the country.
And what about the reaction or the impact it will have on the Turkish public as a whole? Because certainly there's a difference between the mood in Istanbul, which tends to be more secular and more leaning towards the West, versus the rest of the country, which seems to be more conservative.
Sure. Today, the whole nation is terrorized. Now, the people of Istanbul who are more secular and who are part also of the CHP, so the opposition party in Turkey, well, I think these people would surely develop more and more arguments against the AKP rule and against Erdogan. However, you should also know that today the opposition is not well organized inside Turkey. And we've seen that in the latest elections. Many people were against Erdogan, but the opposition was not well organized. And so Erdogan and the AKP won the elections again. So I think today what is needed in Turkey is a more structured opposition, so that we can imagine an alternative to the AKP.
And certainly, as you said, this is very much an explosion that strikes at the very blow at the centre of Istanbul and strikes a blow, rather, at its tourism industry, because it is the sixth most visited city in the world.
Sorry, I couldn't hear your question.
I was just saying that this blast very much strikes a blow, if you like, at the country's tourism industry and in particular Istanbul, which is the sixth most visited city in the world.
That's for sure, and the information I got is that the people who were killed today are mostly Japanese and Asian tourists. So, of course, this is a clear message. After this explosion, we will have a clear message to the international community, to international tourists, saying, hey, don't go to Turkey. So, of course, the explosion wanted to destabilize the Turkish economy, which has been booming after the latest election.
Jana Jabbour, we're going to have to leave it there. Do stay with us for those of you who've just joined us, because I'll be back with more details on that developing story coming out of Istanbul, where at least 10 people have died and 15 others have been injured after a blast ripped through the city's historic Sultan Ahmet district. I'll be back after a short break.